So, random question. Do you, or well, I guess kind of down that same thread, I should say. This that concept, right? Of like, I'm gonna get way too metaphorical for a moment, but the concept of right, like, I feel the exact same way. The only personal website I have, I never link to because it is literally like my face as a background, and way in the corner there's like a link to my LinkedIn and my resume from 4 years ago, and that's it. And I'm like, if I touch it, I have to fix it, but if I don't touch it, it's old and funny. Um, but right, like it's this concept of like never done, right? This concept of like kind of always chasing like this better scenario. Do you feel like you kind of get that way with, or like ever get that way with your own projects, or like even like the feeling of success? I found that like a lot of people have trouble like slowing down and actually saying like, oh hey, I did something, like I achieved something, a goal was landed, I need to like celebrate. And I think like weirdly enough, thinking about that portfolio website is like it's never done, and so you never feel good about having a portfolio website because you never have a good enough portfolio website. And I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of people kind of do that with their own projects.
I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I can totally understand that. I'm totally relate to that. I mean, I haven't experienced that particularly, or at least I didn't reflect back at a time with a portfolio website. But with a project, it's definitely like, for example, my first goal, unimaginable back at a time, to earn €1 on the internet
Right.
with a product that I've built, not by renting out time, but with a product that someone pays for. And when I got first subscriber for €5 a month, um, then the second, then the third, like I was celebrating a little, and the next milestones, like €1,000 a month and 10K MRR and so on, like it's like, oh, okay, I did that, but I immediately focus on the bigger ones. Or even when I get close to that goal, I'm already focusing on the next one. And this is a bad thing, I would say. You're never satisfied, never. And if you think today, like, I don't know, how much money do you need on your bank account in order to be satisfied? You have that number in your head. I don't know, 10 million. Then I can live with my family for the rest of my life, can do whatever I want, can stream all day long or play video games or whatever. So I don't have to do things for money, which is a great freedom to have. But I can almost guarantee you, once you are close to that, you think about the 100 million or whatever. Same with when I started, when I had $0 on my bank account or euros, nothing saved. And I thought, oh man, if I had only 1,000 as a buffer, if something happens, like if my washing machine breaks, it's always gets further. And I think this is something that ambitious people have. They always look for the problems to solve, for the next milestones to achieve, and have to actively like trigger this reflection and let's stop for a moment and look at and celebrate a bit what we achieved. I try to do this, but it's very hard.
Yeah. I've spoken about. Do you get to the, do you feel like it's sort of the nature of the work at all, or sort of kind of like this is
It's
in a manner what entrepreneurship becomes at some point in your own head?
I think it's part of it. I don't necessarily think it's a very negative thing, because it's keeps building bigger things, but maybe it's also just because it's in our nature to not maintain stuff, but make them grow. We grow, plants grow, everything grows, businesses grow or they die. So it's not really like I get to this level and then I'm happy. Like there is no state of happiness. There is a very interesting talk of someone that I watched. I don't remember the name, and I think it's in German, but it's about the state of happiness in general. There is not a level that you reach and then you're happy. Like you can't buy something and then you're happy, or achieve a certain thing and then you're happy for the rest of your life or for a year. It's like you have to be happy with what you do and something that you try to achieve. But it's like if you watch a kid building a sandcastle and it's finished, like they're not sitting there and enjoying it and ruling over their kingdom. They destroy it again, because building it and destroying it is the fun part, not having it. And I think it's the same for a lot of us, for everyone, I guess, that the journey is basically the goal. And I know this is a cliche saying, but I more and more feel like it. So I'm trying to do what I like to do and not do shit because of some imaginary goal that I want to achieve, and then everything's better. Because I know it will never be this. I will always have the next goal and the next and the next. So I better enjoy what I do while I'm doing it.
100%. Yeah, that's something that I've talked about this with a bunch of friends, because I think it's surprisingly relatable for a lot of people, is realizing that the journey is inherently infinite. The goal, once it's met, is then the goalpost gets moved. So effectively, there isn't actually a goal except to go further. And so, like you said, right, if you never actually reach the goal, right, if there never is a point of I did it, then you have to enjoy the journey, or you're just sad all the time. And you're always striving for something you never achieve.
Yeah. It's very... I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's a luxury that we even think about this or have the chance. You know, if, for example, I think back 20 years ago, or think about my mother, or, you know, people that just like have to work all day long to get along, to feed the family and so on. They don't have the luxury to think about this. So I think we are already privileged to even reflect on that and try to model our life around this. But as soon as you get to that freedom, as soon as you have, like, I don't know, remote work and more than enough money to live a comfortable life through a day job or whatever it is, start to earn money on the side or on an online through an internet business or something, you get a little bit more problems that you normally wouldn't have if you don't have a choice. You know, if you don't have a choice, you don't have to think about it. And suddenly, I talk about this with my wife sometimes, because we cannot choose where we want to live. Like, this was never something you go where you have currently the workplace or where you have work. And now we can choose, because I work remotely 100%. So now we are like constantly, oh my God, where should we live? Where should we move? Like, do we stay here? Do we go back to South Germany? Do we go to a different country? And suddenly this is a problem. So yeah, I know I'm complaining on a very high level here, but it's still in my head, you know. It's still something that I feel like I need to solve or think about in a certain way.
Yeah, with freedom.
You think about yeah, sorry.
No, you go.
Go ahead. It's then you think about where do you want your kid to grow up? You know, in what environment, like in the city or outside or whatever. Yeah.
Is that something that you worry about these days?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm thinking where I grew up, where my wife grew up, and like, do we want our daughter to grow up in a city or outside? And we think about how our life would look like, and it's like, feels like sometimes we have to decide, and then I'm trying again. You know, maybe we don't have to decide. Maybe we live in the city for a couple of years. We can move out, or maybe there is even some combination in some form. I don't know. But we're trying to figure out how we want to live, because we have the luxury of actually modeling, you know, following that, how we want to do that. But yeah, I've never thought about that before, and it's very hard. Yeah. Like giving people a choice. It's like there is, I don't know the English word for it, but I think there is this paradox where you are paralyzed by choice. And if you don't have a choice, everything is fine. You don't even think about it.
Yeah, I've heard the term analysis paralysis before, which is that same concept, and I think it's really true. And it's interesting, because often the thing you chase is that freedom, right? And then now that you have it, it makes you have to question so many other things, and it is not so simple. Still, like you said, an astounding amount of privilege to have the freedom to even think to move, to think to do all of these things. But you achieve these goals, you get to the next level, and now you just have to answer more questions, different questions that are still hard, just in a very different way, in a very privileged different way. But it's still tough, right? It is a question, and there's always going to be trade-offs. Yeah,
but I'm now I try also not to worry too much. You know, if you only like in the state of solving problems all day long, as I mentioned, you will not enjoy the ride and so on. So what I'm trying to do currently is live out the freedoms that I currently have. Like I can remote work remotely. I'm pretty flexible on time. So what we are trying to do, as long as my daughter doesn't have, so in Germany we have this like they have to be at school. Like you can't just take them out and go for travel. So before she goes to school, we are trying to, travel more and just work a month from Spain or work 3 months from whatever, South Germany, because we have the possibility to. So we try to use that freedom that we have as much as possible, and we can worry about stuff later. Like the deadline for me that I set where I think we have to settle and stay a bit in one place is when she goes to school, because we want her to have a stable environment, friends, and so on. That's the only thing. So, but that's like 6 years away or 5 years away. So I have some time.
Right. Yeah. She was just born, right?
She's now 10 months. So
10 months.
I hope to start teaching her programming, but we'll see.
Little early. First language English, second language JavaScript. There you go. Get them while they're young. Gotta make them fluent.